what's up, guys? It's Turner Fan 77 for issue 5 of Comic Talk. And in today's guest is none other than Tim Talks Talk. I have to say it slow, man.
It's a tongue twister of a name, I know.
It is. How did you come up with that name?
Only because so many people have Blu-ray or movies or stuff in their names, and like Talkies is an old term. I like old movies. I'm like, no one has Talkies in their name. And it goes with Tim.
So. Great name. So, thank you for coming on. How's your week been so far?
Okay. Just a standard week. More so looking forward to next week. I start vacation, so that I'm ready for.
Plans?
More of a staycation, but I'm a big racing fan. So like Daytona 500 is next weekend. So I'm going to make a trip to the archive and then watch a bunch of racing. It's going to be just not working.
Hey, any kind of vacation is better than work.
Yes.
So again, thank you for being on tonight. Dave normally joins us, but he's really busy lately. So he's going to take some nights off for Comic Talk. So it'll just be me. And tonight it's going to be me and Tim. So I'm sorry here. I'm still trying to get used to this. I'm going to start off tonight's show with a little bit of news. Amazon ordered Scott Snyder and Jocks Wytches. Are you familiar with Wytches?
Yes, I actually have the first trade of it. I'm a big fan of Jock. I love his artwork. Is insane.
It is. It's not typical comic book art. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's very visually different than you say an average superhero comic artist.
Yeah,
he does great work. Well, Amazon ordered an animated series for it. I don't know when it's supposed to start or what year. Probably next year, I would assume. But yeah, if you haven't seen Wytches or read Wytches, I highly recommend it. Great book. Scott Snyder, he wrote the New 52 launch of Batman.
Yes, which was very good.
Yeah, Court of Owls. If you're not familiar with Court of Owls, he did that. He did a Superman run, a Justice League run, and now he's got a couple books at Image. One's called, I think, Nocturnal. But I think he has another one with Craig Capullo. You know who Greg Capullo is?
Yeah. I just don't know which
he's
one.
The artist that did launched Batman New 52 with him. They went over to do a creator-owned book. I forget what it's called. I should have had it written down, but I didn't. But yeah, that's it for the news this week. It was quick, not a whole lot. I'm excited for it because this is a great book.
Which is really cool, though. Like I said, if they could replicate Jock's art,
I know that's what I'm hoping they do.
Yeah, man, that's I love his stuff. I even have, you know how I'm big into like those screen print posters and stuff. Jock did some Mondo ones, and I have like an Empire Strikes Back that was done by Jock, and it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to. I wish I would have pulled it out too. I have him and Scott Snyder's signature on issue 1 of. Yeah, he was super nice. I met him at a C2E2 convention in Chicago. Both great guys. They were fun to meet, and lucky enough that they signed my book. Didn't even have to pay for it because nowadays most people you have to pay a little bit to get signature, which is understandable because people flip their stuff on eBay.
Yeah, I'm going to a con actually in June. It's actor wise, but meeting the Back to the Future cast. But it's going to cost me almost $500 to meet them all. That's it's insane. But how many times are you in? It's in Philly. It's called Philadelphia Fan Expo. How many chances am I going to get to meet Michael J. Fox? I can't turn it down.
No, I wouldn't. If you're a big fan of him, don't, because you never know if you ever get that opportunity again. Don't miss it.
Yeah. Yep.
Who else?
Well, they're going to have Christopher Lloyd and Tom Wilson, but also I'm going to be meeting Sam Raimi, which I'm insanely excited. Yeah, Sam Raimi. Oh my God. I already bought my ticket for him. And I'm going to meet Christina Ricci. I bought the ticket to meet her already. And there's some other good people, like Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's good people. So I'm pumped, but I gotta temper who I get, because like I could spend $1,000 on autographs. Like that's I gotta watch it.
Do you do it a lot of comic conventions?
I want to do more. I want to really try to get New York Comic Con tickets this year. I haven't been to New York Comic Con in think 2011 was my last one. So I would love to get back there. I try to do cons when I can. It's just they're very expensive. Like they add up quick.
I think the last con I went to was C2E2, and I think it was with my daughter, and it was super expensive. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I have 4 kids now, and it costs really a lot too for hotels, especially in the Chicago area. I'm in Iowa, but I drove to Chicago, and that's downtown. Oof, it gets super expensive.
Yep. That's this Philadelphia one's gonna run me a lot of money, but whatever.
Yeah, but it's an experience. It's an experience you'll never forget.
Yep.
Because when I went to, I still remember all my experiences. I hope as I get older, I don't lose those memories because they're great. I mean, you go with friends or you go by yourself?
Me and my wife.
Oh, awesome! That's even better, man. You guys would have that memory of meeting some of your favorite.
The autograph is awesome, and that's a big part. But like, so I also met all 5 of the Star Trek captains at the Philadelphia con. When I went in like 2011, 2012, I met all 5 captains. That was incredible. I was tight on money, needed to sell the poster. I wish I still had that poster, but at least like I know, hey, I met, William Shatner and Patrick Stewart. Like I met these people. I just don't have those autographs anymore, but I still met them.
Yeah, that's still awesome though, man. Cons are a great experience. Have you guys ever been to a Comic Con or what did you say, Fan Expo kind of con?
This one's called Fan Expo. That one, it's the same company that did Wizard World. You've heard of Wizard World.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, same company.
Oh yeah. So yeah, guys, if you haven't been to one of those, definitely take the opportunity to go if you have the chance. So we're just gonna, Evan, Pop Culture says, "Hey fellas, thank you for joining us."
Howdy.
So we're gonna hop into. I got 5 questions for you, and I can't wait to hear your answers. So first one is, what was your first comic book you remember reading?
So my memory is like Swiss cheese. The thing that it really is, man. So what sticks out the most to me is I used to like to draw a lot, and one of the early characters I remember drawing is Spawn. Spawn was such a cool character to draw, and I had a bunch of his comics, and that's the one I guess that just sticks out in my mind the most. And that was at an age of Spawn is more aimed at adults, and I was drawing them at like 8 or something like that. But yeah, it's that's the one that sticks out the most.
Oh, I remember reading Spawn. I remember when Todd McFarlane launched that. That was a big deal. Image, they were like rock stars when they launched Image, man. There'll probably never be something like that again, in the comic book industry. Image, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. There was Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, Eric Larson's Savage Dragon. That whole era of comics was just like, it was so fun, because everybody was banking on him to be worth a lot of money. It didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, the way most 90s comics are. Most 90s comics are worth almost nothing unless you have a key issue.
A buddy of mine sent me pictures of his X-Force #1, thinking they were going to be worth a lot of money. No. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's I think people that they're not in the space, they think, oh well, this is 25, 30 years old, it's got to be worth something. And it's like, no, they printed like a bajillion of these. It's kind of like the card industry with like baseball cards and stuff. They printed so many in the 90s, they basically tanked the valuable aspect of it. But
at least in the 90s, you could throw a rock and hit a comic book shop. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And nowadays, man, and at least in my area, you have to drive a good distance to get to a comic book shop.
Have you tried? So I have a local comic shop, but also I order occasionally from Midtown Comics.
Yeah.
I like them.
They have great customer service. I've had a couple of damaged books come, emailed them within 2 weeks. I got my book perfect. I will always use Midtown. So, question number 2 is, what is your favorite character and why?
So this was hard. I'm gonna grab it. I basically have kind of a couple of answers. If we're going outside of the traditional superhero scope. I
It
don't
can
know
be
if
anything you want.
so. Have you ever heard of Hack Slash?
Yes, I have. I have not read it.
So Cassie Hack is so badass. This whole idea of she was attacked by, they call them slashers, but it's basically just a bunch of different monsters, and each issue is her going after a different like slasher. Some of them are original, some of them are like crossovers with actual movie franchises, like she went after Herbert West from Reanimator. So like I don't know, she's just so badass. I don't know what other like I freaking love this comic. I love the art, I love the
Yeah.
character. Yeah, so that's in the not traditional sense, but also in the superhero space. I'm a big fan of Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, whatever you want to call her. Really like her. I thought her character is awesome. And then
I
in the
agree.
DC space, I freaking love Harley. Love Harley. She's a complex character. She's not bad. She's not good. She's that gray area, and she's a really complex one. I love her, and she's so
I do
funny too.
I like her animated series on HBO Max. I dig
Yes,
that.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, have you checked out the Valentine's Day special yet?
No, not yet.
Either have I. I was just curious if you had.
But I was having such a hard time. But each one of those characters kind of gives me something different. Like,
Yeah,
I read Hack Slash, and it's like I just want to watch this badass girl just pretty much beat the hell out of people. And it's violent, it's fun. Or Spider Gwen gives basically the same type of what you would get out of Spider-Man, but I just really like her character. It's cool. Like, hey, here's Mary Jane, but she's or Gwen Stacy, I mean, and she's now, Spider-Man essentially. It's cool.
she's a great character, and she's not. I won't say a carbon copy of Peter. I mean, she has her own issues she deals with. I was late to her game, the game of Spider-Gwen. But I like the idea that who Peter turned out to be. You know what I mean? I don't want to spoil it if anybody's read, but I liked that. I liked
that was a cool reveal, and I like that in her world, like she plays in a band, the Mary Janes. Like it's cool. Like her world is cool.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all three of those characters, because Hack and Slash I haven't read, but I've always been interested, and I think that would be a great mining thing for a TV production or a movie, because there's so much potential for that.
It was supposed to be. I can't remember which one of the studios optioned it, and nothing happened. I would imagine it's dead in the water by now, because this was like 5-6 years ago. I feel like it's almost irrelevant now. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel there's any relevance. But I feel like it'd be a good, like one of those like $10 to $15 million horror flicks, action horror. Like I'd dig it.
Yeah, something like Ready or Not, in the vein of that.
Yeah.
Or what's that one? Happy Death Day or something, in that spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Blumhouse, I think.
Oh yeah. All three great characters. Question number 3. This might be a tough one because there's so many storylines. What's your favorite?
So
you can give me multiple if you want.
All right. Well, you did mention in in the traditional superhero space, I loved Hush. Batman Hush is an insanely good story. I mean, you're getting like all of the heroes and villains thrown at you, and who the villain is and how he's orchestrating everything. It's like, this is so good. I loved that. You mentioned Court of Owls. I dug that. I was hard into the New 52 for the first couple of years. I loved it.
Me too.
But as a single, I guess, start and finish, I loved the story to Paper Girls. Oh my goodness. Paper Girls is amazing. This is honestly probably one of my favorite comics of like the past 5-10 years. Like I love it so freaking much. it gives you all of that like 80s nostalgia with great characters, cool sci-fi twist to it, time travel. It's so much fun, man.
It
I
really is. And the art is fantastic. Bernard Chang, I think, is the artist. He
I
is fantastic.
that's
Ooh,
I got yeah, it's a signed copy. I can't remember which store I
nice.
bought this off, but yeah, I loved it. For anyone that hasn't checked it out, like look at that art. The art
It's beautiful.
style, it's so gorgeous. I can't explain how much I loved this comic.
Yeah, it's. I've read. I think I still have the last issue to read. I'm afraid to read it because I don't want it to end. You know what I mean? Uh,
I know that feeling.
oh, it's such a good book, and it's a TV show. It was a TV show. We kind of talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, definitely, guys, pick up Paper Girls. Both of us recommend it. It's fantastic.
Oh, so good, man.
What would pop culture says all females probably for all three of your favorite characters.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Um,
I click with a lot of women characters on a lot of stuff. I don't know
that's okay, man.
why, but yeah.
Because there's really, comic industry is dominated by mostly male, characters, and it's nice to get a change up, especially when it's a good character like Spider Gwen or Harley Quinn. So, what would your favorite Marvel storyline be?
I don't know because besides, I'd say the main stuff I read in Marvel is in the Spider-Man world, Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen. I don't really read a whole lot outside of the Spider-Man scope, I guess, in Marvel.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
I
okay.
tried I tried Iron Man, didn't really dig him. I tried Captain America. I'm like, this isn't for me. I can't for some reason I don't click with most of Marvel like I do
I
with
understand.
either DC or Image.
Have you? It's been a while. This book's been done and over with for a long time. But Ultimate Spider-Man. Did you ever read that by Brian Bendis
Some.
and Martin Bagley?
Yeah, some. Like we talked it sometimes jumping in can feel daunting and you don't know where to
Mm-hmm.
jump in. So I've had like random jump in and jump out points. So I've read
Yeah.
like sporadic stuff throughout like the scope of Spider-Man essentially, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a long run worth I've read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's I don't know how many issues across how many versions. I
Yeah.
did
I
dig
think
Spider-Man 2099 though. That was I did read some of that.
yeah,
That was fun.
he had he's still going on. He still has books out there.
Yeah.
They're not too bad. I dig him. Those are great answers, man. I gotta go with your Hush though.
Hush is so good, man.
And it's not, I was lucky enough to meet Jeff Loeb, the guy that wrote it. Super nice guy. He was able to tell a captivating story and have like great visuals with Jim Lee's art. Because sometimes if you get Jim Lee's art, sometimes the story isn't there. You know what I mean? It's usually one or the other. You usually don't get both. But with Hush, you got both.
I think the most impressive thing to me is you when you throw a lot of characters at a story, sometimes it could kind of fall apart. But
Mm-hmm.
like Hush throws just villain after villain after villain, and then like all the heroes that matter, and it's so compelling the whole way. Like you would think after you keep tossing all these people at the story, like it would kind of be like a gimmick, but it's not. It's so damn good.
I remember the book's old. I think we can talk about when Jason Todd shows up. I flipped out. I was like, oh, Jason Todd. I loved that moment. I was so happy. But then, what happens, happens. But yeah, that was
Speaking of Jason Todd, even like Red Hood is a cool character too, though.
it. Really, I really dig Red Hood.
I
So,
started reading his New 52 run for a little
mhm,
while. It was a lot of fun. He's a cool like fourth wall breaking ish character. I
yeah.
like him.
I recommend Red Hood and the Outlaws from I think it's Rebirth, where they DC Rebirth, whatever they called it, and that's a
Yeah,
great book. Him, Bizarro, and I forget the girl's name, but she's like a Wonder Woman character. That was really good because I like what they did with Bizarro in that book. It was fun.
I'll have to check that out because
Yeah,
I always like
it's worth.
that character.
I think the
I
first trade is on Comixology. I think.
I think with the DC animated movies, like Batman Under the Red Hood is probably like my favorite of those animated movies.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like a good animated Batman movie. That was like just legitimately a great movie.
Have you checked out the new Tomorrowverse that they did, that they're
No,
currently doing?
nope.
That's actually pretty good. I just finished the Legion of Superheroes was it last night? Yeah, I think it was. And that was pretty good. I did that. So, question number 4. If you had to pick one publisher, I kind of think I know how you're going to answer this. One publisher to read, which one would it be?
Absolutely Image all of the way.
Mhm.
Image offers me, for the most part, lots of get in, get out, 15, 20, 30 issue runs, and it's done. It has a start, middle, and an end, and it's not as daunting as, we're 30 years into this story type of
Yeah.
thing. So I love Image, and it gives me just all types of different stuff. Like, you'll get books that have nothing to do with superheroes, nothing to do with powers or magic or anything. Like, you get just
Hmm.
down to earth, real drama that has nothing to do with anything like that out of Image Comics. Like, Image Comics, they make about anything. I love it.
Anything from
Just
superhero, horror, romance, you
yeah.
name it, it's under an Image banner. And what's great is they're not beholden to, I will say, lawyers, a company. It's creator owned. They
Yep.
own the character. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to ask the Disney lawyers or the Warner Brother Discovery lawyers what they can do and can't do. They can tell a story they want to tell, and that's great. You don't see that very often in mainstream comics. That's why Image is
You
always awesome.
you brought it up before we went live, but that comic Skyward is just such a cool concept, and that's the type of stuff you get from Image. Like,
Yeah.
people just getting sucked up into the sky and people needing to figure out how to still live, you know, in the sky and not go sucked up all the way. It's cool. There was like what, magnetic boots or something like
Yeah.
that. And they're trying, yeah, it was cool. You don't get stuff like that really with DC or Marvel.
And the art in that Skyward is beautiful. I mean, you look at the panels and you take every panel in, and it's not something you're just going to flip through. You want to examine each panel, each frame. So yeah, this Skyward is so good. And
Uh,
with Image,
and outside of Image, by the way, even though it's about favorite, I do also appreciate IDW quite a bit.
mhm,
With they have so many properties that they do tons of cool crossover stuff, like
mhm,
GI Joe and Transformers. IDW does crossovers, I think, better than like
they do.
anyone. It's You'll get the most crazy ideas. They'll take two properties
Mhm,
that have nothing to do with each other and somehow make them really entertaining.
yeah. Oh, here we got a comment here. Let me see. Really old movies. What's up, Harrison? How you doing, man? Thanks for
Hello.
joining us tonight. Thank you for the support, man. Really appreciate it. The thing about Image is that their books are affordable. They're not $6.99, $5.99, $7.99. They're usually $3.99. They're issues, but usually their first trade $9.99, $10. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's a
love that.
great deal. Hmm.
Yeah, I
And then they
love that.
get you with that hook of that $10 trade. Okay, then you go back for that next issue after that, because 9 times out of 10, this story is great, and it's like an addiction. You want that next hook or that next fix.
Yeah. Yeah, it did that with me with Saga. I liked Saga a lot, and I
Hmm.
got like what, nine trades of that. That was a pretty long running one.
I love their hardback books that they put out for that. Those are really
Yeah.
nice.
Their hardcovers in general, like I showed this already, but like the
Hmm.
quality of this Paper Girls is
It's nice.
crazy. Like, look at that, like holographic
Yeah.
to it.
See, I have the Walking Dead ones like that. I have Nail Biter like that. They put money into their hardcover and paperback, the trade paperbacks, because it's not flimsy paper either. It's
No.
nice cardstock paper.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love Image.
I did too. I am so glad you picked that, because you can't go wrong. Like you said, IDW, the Transformers GI Joe, they're losing the rights to the Transformers GI Joe, and I think, if I, you know how rumors get started. The big rumor is that Skybound, Robert Kirkman's company, is going to be taking over Transformers and G.I. Joe through Image. So I'm kind of, if that turns out to be true, I'm really interested to see what they do with it. Just a new take.
Yeah.
Question number 5. What's more important to you, art or story?
I loved this question. So I feel like a lot of people are like, story, story, story. And yes, but I love my posters and stuff. I love artwork. And if I open up, say I'm in like Barnes and Noble and I'm looking at a trade, if I open it up and the art doesn't click with me, I am not picking it up. Like the story could be amazing, but the art needs to grab me because as much as comics are about story, it's a visual medium. I want the art to grab me. So art is very important to me, I guess. I need a good story, but you could tell an amazing story with almost no written text with just great art. You can tell a great story. So
there's plenty of visual or worthless books out there.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you. I think art, when you open a book up, like say, when you open up Wytches, you look at that and it's kind of like a quick trailer for a movie. You're like, if the trailer doesn't grab you, you're not interested in seeing it. And I have to agree. Art is very important, and then the story. And we're talking about 90s comics earlier, and the 90s was just art. And that was all it was. It was big guns, big-chested women, pockets everywhere, pouches.
Rob Liefeld with like a billion pockets.
Yeah. Really old movie says, I haven't read too many Image comics, but one of my favorites is called Gear by Doug TenNapel. I don't know how to say that. It's about cats that go to war with bugs. It was adapted into a cartoon. Cat scratch, nothing like the book. I have never heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I'd check that out.
Yeah, it's worth. Yeah, if you recommended RRR, and I really dug that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some great artists that tell great stories just through their art. Jock was one of them.
Definitely Jock. Well, we mentioned Scotty Young. I can read a wordless comic of Scotty Young with his art. Like, I mean, I think we were talking about actually before going live, but I Hate Fairyland is so damn funny, and there'll be page after page of like no dialogue at all in it, and it's just it is so incredibly funny. Like I loved that comic.
Me too.
For anyone watching, like the comic is basically a girl who kids would get taken to this land, and they would find their way back out, and it's supposed to be their magical like moment that they remember. But this girl can't find her way out. And she keeps aging mentally, but she's still a young girl. So she's like a full-on cranky adult stuck in this world, but in a kid's body. But
cranky
cranky's not. She's killing things. She's cursing. It's insane. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's a highly recommended book. It's great. Okay, bonus question. What comic property would you like to see develop? You could name as many as you want, but what would you like to see developed for TV or a movie?
So we already, I mean, I would like to see this continue then, but talked about, I would love to see this actually come to fruition. Some of the stuff I have, I'm glad that this happened, but I wish there was more of this. The Sabrina show was great. But I'd say the top thing, this God Country. This is written by Donny Cates. Oh my God. Wait, put these down. So I love those. I love those ones where it can actually deal with a real emotional thing. So this is a epic man versus God type story, but really is about dealing with Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, however you pronounce it. I'm bad at pronunciation, but yeah, the father is dealing with it, forgetting things throughout, and it's you'd have to read it. So it's big epic fighting with gods, but really dealing with the father forgetting what's going on, who his family is. It's sad, man. It is sad, but
I'm gonna put that down.
It would make an awesome story. And this is a one and done. This is the whole thing. This will grip you from start to finish. Yeah, this is the whole thing. This will grip you from start to finish. It's amazing.
Who does the art?
Who is the art? Let me see. Donny Cates is the writer. Where there's the there's like 5 people listed. And I'm trying. Where does it say artist versus colorist and linist? That's everyone involved.
Oh, I'm assuming Jeff Shaw because he's number 2. Have you read anything else by Donny Cates?
Not enough, but I've read some stuff, but not much, and I can't pinpoint which things. I just remember after reading this, I'm like, I need to check out more Donny Cates, and I can't remember which stuff, but his writing in this was amazing. He's a good writer.
I'm a big fan of his. He had a great run on Venom. Yeah, I haven't enjoyed a Venom comic in a long time until he took over that book. It was fantastic. He did a run on Thor, Hulk. He's got an interesting Hulk take. And he has another one. It's a creator-owned. I forget what it's called. But yeah, he's a great writer. I like him a lot.
Was he the one writing Venom when I can't remember? I started reading the issues that had that red swirl thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, yeah. I did read a chunk of that.
Yeah, I really dug that. And then, he did that with Brian Stegman. Fantastic artist. I really dig his art. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else he wrote. That just at the top of my head, I can't think of anything. But he's a great writer.
I would love to know what you think if you do check this one out. Like I said,
I put it in my phone as on my notes. I'm gonna look for that.
The emotional aspect hits you pretty hard, even though it's like this big grand god battle. It hits you pretty hard.
You really have me intrigued. I was gonna put it out there. The Alzheimer's thing, because my dad suffers from dementia, and that kind of hits home when you said that. So I'm really interested to see where the story goes. So I'm going to be looking for that. Any other
another one
you would love?
Let me find it in the stack. All right, here we go. I'll help. Did you check out Revival?
I did. I read like the first 3 or 4 issues, and I really dug it. I just never got back to it.
I think it would make for a pretty cool movie. It's for watching. It's people come back from the dead, but not in like the traditional zombie way. And it's just trying to figure out what the hell happened. It's cool. There's really cool visuals
in art's this good too.
Yeah, the art's really cool.
Yeah, I dug it. So glad I haven't heard that book and named it a long time.
Yeah, and what I found really cool too. So this is Tim Seeley that wrote it, and I looked the colorist is Mark Englert. You know how again I'm big into like the Mondo posters and all that. Mark Englert does all those screen print posters and stuff now. Like he's a big name in that space, and he was actually the colorist on this. I was like, wow, that's pretty neat.
By the way, Tim, loved your Casablanca video. My favorite film of all time.
Thank you. Yeah, I love Casablanca too. I mean, I got I imagine he might have seen, but got that statue. I missed out on the Humphrey statue, though. I wish I didn't.
How many statues do you have?
Throughout the whole house, probably 25, 30, something like that.
That's an expensive hobby, right there,
dude. It's that Marilyn Monroe I just got in was
that was beautiful.
$550. Bruce was actually cheap at only $3, but the Audrey Hepburn above was like 9. So yeah, they're kind of all over the place.
Harrison says, I need that.
I think she's still available. I can send you the link that I'm pretty sure she's still available. It's Humphrey that sold out. Yeah, oh yeah, it absolutely is.
Who made it?
It's a company called Infinite Statue. They pretty much specialize in only older movies. Like everything they do is older movies and TV. Like they're releasing a Fonz Happy Days one coming up soon. Oh, wow. They're doing a Smokey and the Bandit one. They're doing a James Dean one. So they're all about like older stuff.
So you said everybody that knows you're into movie posters. So tell me a little bit how you got into that, and how did you get the bug to just buy all these crazy, insane posters?
So for the one sheet posters, I was kind of into posters. I was into posters most of my movie loving life, but I was buying a bunch of like reprints and stuff like that. Stuff you would find in like some random store because like, oh, well, this just has the image on it. And then around like 2016, I found out about Mondo and their screen prints and stuff. And I started like, oh, I love this art. And I landed my first one, and then it kind of hooked me, and I kept buying more and going deeper into that. And then from there, I started reading more about like one sheets and what it means, like what's an original versus a reprint. And
explain what a one sheet is.
So a one sheet is the poster that is outside of any theater you go to. It's typically 27 by 40 size, 27 by 40 or 27 by 41, but the ones that are lit up outside the theater, those are that's called a one sheet. And I love getting them because it's cool knowing you had something that hung outside of a theater, or it's something that isn't meant for sale. Like the only way to get those is to get them straight from a theater or buy them from someone that got them from a theater. Like you can't just go buy them. There's something about like, this is a piece of advertising. It's advertising history. So
yeah. Are the older ones double-sided?
Actually, double-sided is more of a newer thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't know.
That started late 80s or early 90s. Somewhere in that ballpark is when they started doing double-sided. Which makes the light up feature work so much better. Like that's what it's meant for. It's to make it shine through with the light box more. But yeah, older ones, typically anything mid 80s and earlier is folded. It'll have all those crease lines because they were all sent to theaters folded, and they're single-sided for the most part. There's exceptions to all that, but for the most part, they were folded and single-sided.
That's fascinating to me, all that stuff. When you post new posters, I'm like, oh man, that stuff is just so cool. So how many posters do you think you have?
I bought a flat file for them. If I count both the one sheets and these like Mondo screen print ones, it's probably, I'd say 400-ish.
Wow. How often do you rotate them?
Often enough, because I don't like to look at the same art for too long, so I rotate them. Sometimes they'll be up for only a couple of weeks. Sometimes they might be up for 2 months, but I don't really keep them up for extended periods of time.
Now, you said you're married. Does your wife share your same passion for your hobby?
For the most part. So she's just as into the movies. She loves buying the movies. So she's maybe not fully behind how much I buy, but but she does love it too. Like I just got in a bunch of steel books. I posted a reel of them. She was actually all for all of those. So like that was a lot of money in steel books. She was all for that. The screen print posters and stuff, she loves that stuff too. She's fully into that. She's kind of into the statues, kind of. She has her own, but she's not as in it. I guess that would be like one of the hobbies she would axe, but she's not into the vinyl records at all. I'm big into that. She doesn't care in the slightest on that. Not even the slightest.
That's cool that she shares your passion for movies. Whether it's film, posters, that is fantastic. That's something you guys will always have, like, hey, let's go, let's find a rare steelbook. That Greatest Showman steelbook I absolutely loved.
So nice. What's cool is, so like, I love the movies. She loves movies. Most of my TV shows, I love shows. She loves shows more. Like most of our TV shows are actually because of her.
Oh, that's awesome.
She goes hardcore. Like where I might go to a store, like, oh, I want this movie, this movie, this movie. She sees TV shows. She's like, I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying this.
That's great that you have that, because some people don't, their partners don't support, I call it addiction, because movies is an addiction.
It's an addiction, yeah.
Yeah. Because like you said, when you went into comics, you went all in,
hardcore, man, so hard. It was weekly. I'm looking at the release of what's coming out for Wednesday, and I'm like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I add it up together. I'm like, I have to take off this, because it was just so much. And weekly, it's like, can I afford to buy this and buy all the new movies? It's like, this is too much. I can't be spending $50, $60, $70 weekly on comics and then weekly on movies. And it was just too damn much.
It really is. Like we said earlier, mainstream comics are usually anywhere from $5 to $7 for 10 minutes of reading. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But I'm still glad you share the passion for reading comics, because without comics, there would be no MCU movies. There would be no DC movies, the new James Gunn era. There wouldn't be that, Yeah. So we got to appreciate where all that came from. And I'm glad that you do, because that you don't see that in the film community too much, or at least it's not talked about as much, like you said earlier. So when I heard, or you commented about liking comics, I was like, oh, that makes me so happy, So
yeah, it's rare. The MCU movies will just break box office records. Meanwhile, comics are
it's a dying medium. It really is.
Yeah.
The sales of comics is the terrible sales. I mean, you don't see comics in like you used to in the grocery stores, Walmarts. I don't know if you were old enough to remember, Walmart used to sell these packs of comics, like in hard plastics. You'd get like 10, 15 of them. They were usually really cool comics. You don't see that anymore.
Is this not too like, so
it was
what was
probably
it,
the
like
90s.
90s. All right, so Walmart did something.
They do have new ones in there.
Yeah, they I don't see the stuff now, but I it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they were selling bundles, and they were also selling like these giant oversized comics. I can't remember which ones they were, but I was like, that's kind of cool. And now I don't even see those in Walmart anymore.
Yeah, there used to be DC and Marvel. I remember comic retailers would get pissed when DC started doing it, because you're like, hey, these books are still on our shelves, because they were almost brand new books, and retailers would get mad. They were selling them for $5, $10 a bundle, and I could see why they would get mad. Harrison goes, did you guys hear about Comixology? It's going out of business. I haven't heard that. I knew they did massive layoffs because Amazon owns Comixology. I'll have to look into that, because
I didn't hear that. But
I hadn't heard that. I knew they did a bunch of layoffs.
That would bum me out, because that's what I read digital on is Comixology. I love the subscription.
I do too. Yeah. Okay, so we're almost done, but I want you to give me some recommendations. You gave me God Country. I got that written down. I want to hear what you would like for me to read, or anybody that's still watching. I would like for you guys to read.
So,
I know you got a stack there.
I do have a stack. So,
and I love that.
I already showed God Country. I do really highly recommend, though, the Sabrina comic from Archie. Archie comics are not my thing for the most part, but the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is actually really good. The artwork is insane. It's legitimately a horror comic. It's really good. Already recommended Hack Slash. This is my recommendation of everything for everything. Stray Dogs.
I've heard
check out. Yeah, horror twist of all about dogs. So there's dogs like ripping each other apart in issues. It's like horror based. The front says, "What do you get when you cross Silence of the Lambs and all dogs go to heaven?"
Hold on, I'm gonna add that to my list.
It's a fun one.
Okay, Stray Dogs. Okay, thank you.
Ice Cream Man. It's a horror anthology. Yeah, fun. Some stories are better than others, just like any anthology, but they're fun. Really dug Death and Glory.
Oh, me too. I'm so glad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I dug this one quite a bit. And again, Image Comics. Yeah. And again, I liked the art. Yeah. Cool story. I like heist stuff. So that was fun.
I really dug that.
I need to catch up. I'm behind, but I loved how Oblivion Song started. And I liked the first chunk of it until I kind of fell off. But
that's Robert Kirkman.
Yes.
The writer of Walking. Who does the art on that? I'm not familiar with the artist.
Lorenzo Di Felici? Is that how you pronounce his name?
He's got a unique style. Yeah, but I think you're right.
I thought this was a really cool comic. I did like the art style, but the whole concept of people just vanishing to like another world with monsters, it was cool. And I was so hyped for this, actually. I still have the statues somewhere around in the house, but I pre-ordered the like deluxe version of the first issue that included a big statue of the lead character. It was like $300. It was really cool. I have that statue somewhere, but I enjoyed what I read of it. I got to catch up. And last one's Scooby Apocalypse.
I read that. I really liked that.
It's so the idea of putting Scooby-Doo in like a zombie-ish future, it's ridiculous and it's so much fun. It's just like a straight up Scooby-Doo horror mashup. I really enjoyed that. This isn't as much of a recommendation as this was more so, again, why I love IDW Ghostbusters. I like just something that's great about comics is an established franchise. I can get more of the same characters in comic form. Like you could read it and still read it as if it's Bill Murray saying the lines, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's and then last one, because I'm a big Buffy fan, I actually really dig Boom's like restart of Buffy. I like it a lot. They did a really good job rebooting this.
Yeah, they did. Is that season 7? Is that what you had in your hand? Or is that
no? This is a full on reboot. There was the seasons were under who the heck had it?
IDW. It was IDW, I think. Was it
or Dynamite? I think it might have been Dynamite.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where what season 7 and season 8 or 8 and 9, something like that. But this is a full on from the start reboot.
Is that the one where is it Robin, the principal's name? Is actually a student in this one, and they're all like younger.
Oh, it's right back to they kind of twisted some of the characters around, like Willow is gay from the start instead of like finding out in the show. So they twisted some stuff around, but in general, it's just kind of it's cool seeing Buffy right from the start again. I had a lot of fun.
I love that show.
Oh, I love it so much. So I was all over this when it first started. I'm like, yes, more Buffy and new stories, because I enjoyed the seasons ones, but they're hamstrung, I guess, by what the show did. Like it's building off of the show. I like that this got to take us back to the start with you could do whatever you want. There's no past anymore. Start from the get-go and just make it up as you go. I enjoyed that. It was cool seeing it rebooted.
Did they do an Angel one too, didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't read it though.
Okay, I didn't know how. I loved the Angel spinoff show too. I thought that was great.
Oh, I loved the show. Yeah, I just for some reason didn't get around to the reboot comic.
Michael says, love and discussion, guys. As someone who knows enough about comics to sound dumb, this is good stuff. Thank you, Michael, again for the support. I appreciate you. So is that all your recommendations?
Yeah, that's my whole. It just so happens that we talked about some of the stuff beforehand. I know, right? I brought a decent pile, but
that's a great stack. So you know what I love? They're indies. I love that, because I love Spider-Man. That's my character. But I love that you picked Paper Girls, the heist one, Hack and Slash. What else did you have in there? God Country. All those.
And
You don't see
Revival
that.
too.
Yeah,
So
Revival. Yeah. I read that on Comicsology, actually. Like the first 4 issues, I think the first 2 trades are available on there.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you picked that. That's it, guys. He had some great recommendations. My only one pick was because it was in the news. Is Scott Snyder's and Jocks Wytches. Great story. Hopefully Amazon does it justice. So
hopefully,
before we go, what do you got coming up on your YouTube?
God, I wing a lot of it. So tomorrow is just going to be my thoughts on Vinegar Syndrome at the moment, and I got my new order in. Then I'm going to have a haul video on Saturday, and then I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of just it's weird. I've had the channel for like over a year and a half or 2 years now, and I still don't really. I just wing it. I don't know.
That's good though, man. You just as long as you're having fun, that's the only thing
that's
that counts.
that's all it is. It's just fun. So I kind of I try not to make. I don't want to make it feel too much like a job because it's not a job. If it becomes a job, it's not fun anymore.
Exactly. That's what I love. I mean, I don't talk comics very much with anybody, and then I was like, oh, I want to see if anybody wants to talk comics, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. You could find Tim Talks. I have to say it slow. Tim Talks Talkie on. I put his Instagram and YouTube channels in the description below, so please check him out. If you haven't, I'm sure you have. He's got great content, and he's on TikTok. Forgot to put your TikTok stuff in there.
I actually posted like 3 videos within a short time. I'm trying TikTok. I'm trying.
I like it. It's fun. But yeah, you got some. That's where I saw the initial steelbooks. Saw the Marilyn Monroe. I don't remember what the third video. Well, what was it?
Oh, I did the La La Land steelbook, the group of steelbooks, and then that Marilyn Monroe over the past day.
I can't get over that Greatest Showman one. That was fantastic.
It's insane. I didn't even know that existed. I found it just surfing eBay, which is dangerous.
It is. Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. God bless. Guys, have a wonderful week. And remember, above all else, be kind to one another. We're out of here.